Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to this session today. Today is going to be a very interesting session where we are going to actually hear the do's and don'ts from a person who has scored a 760 on the GMAT himself live in the session. So this webinar, this session is all about the best tips that you can get from a 760 scorer. I'm Piyush from GMATWhiz. I'm going to be the moderator of this session, and this session is all about you guys, your questions. We do have some structure. We will talk about the overall journey of Lokesh from start till the end. But please feel free to interact. The session is gonna be dictated by you guys. You guys are gonna ask questions, and Lokesh is there to basically help you with those questions and to help you understand how he went all the way from a 640 to a 760 on the GMAT. So that's gonna be the focus of this session. And at GMATWhiz, we do our best to bring you the best success stories so that all of you who are listening to this can also get to the same level where you can one day come and be a part of this success story interview on the other side of the table, basically, and share your journey with us. So please go ahead and let us know if you have any questions. You can also start putting your questions right now. I might not be asking all of them right away to Lokesh, but as we move forward, I'll be definitely putting up the questions over to him. So if you have any questions even now, or you want to focus on a specific aspect, you can always start putting your questions in the chat. All right. So without any further ado, let me welcome Lokesh to our stream. Hi, Lokesh. How are you? How does it feel to finally get to the 760 on GMAT?
Hi Piyush, I'm doing great. How are you doing? Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
good too. Yeah.
yeah, I kind of feel relieved after seeing that score, 760. First of all, I was not able to comprehend it. It's finally done because as you already know, I have given 5 attempts and it's been a quite a journey. So,
Hmm.
and finally after seeing that 760, I feel relieved and happy at the same time.
So, how many of you who are attending this session live, around 20 plus people I see today, are retakers? So, Lokesh just mentioned that he had to go through 5 attempts. Like, I'm just asking to just know how many of you are retakers who have taken the GMAT, and just let us know also how many attempts you have taken on the GMAT, because it's only a retaker who can understand the pain. Like, I can't probably even imagine like going through going to the test center. Like, you did one online attempt as well, but going to the test center, the similar environment again and again over the same period of time, and actually controlling that anxiety. And that's something I'll definitely touch upon because that's going to be a very important part, anxiety management, when you're taking so many attempts. So let's talk about that as well. But let's first quickly start with your formal introduction, Lokesh. Let's talk. Tell us about your background. Tell us about what you do, and then let's get started with your exciting GMAT journey.
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. My name is Lokesh. I'm an engineer by profession, software engineer, and I've started my GMAT journey around October last year, 2021, and ended it in November 2022. I didn't think that it would be that long. Being an engineer, I was confident that my quant is already done. Just need to focus on verbal, and it will be a short one, but it's been a quite a journey.
Oh, definitely, and that's what we are gonna be discussing about the do's and the don'ts, like what you should be doing and what you should not be doing, so that a lot of other people who are attending this could reach in lesser attempts or even better scores, or maybe just get there finally. Because in my opinion, getting there is what in the end matters, basically. So let's get started with that. We have a few people, Swastik and Krishnan, who say we are retakers. Swastik, Krishnan says that I have 3 attempts and I'm still not at the 700 mark. But don't be worried. When Lokesh started his journey in the very first mark, he scored a 640, and the worst attempt he was only able to score a 690, I guess. Right, Lokesh? Like, can you
Yeah.
start with your GMAT journey? Let's run us through the first attempt of yours, and what are the learnings that you had from that attempt?
So yeah, so I started in October 2021. So I took a mock and I saw that I scored a 48 in quant, and I thought, okay, by doing a little practice, I can manage the quant. And but the verbal is like 31. I was pretty sure that I need a lot of improvement, and that too in the sentence correction, I had like almost all of them wrong in the first diagnostic test. So that was something that I know that I wanted to focus on, and that's where I started. Like, I researched about courses and came across GMAT was like meaning based approach, the planning. Like, having given my cat previously, I know that how much planning and how much all these things will take time. So I wanted something like to take care of that thing. So I went with GMAT. So The sentence correction, I completed the whole sentence correction module
So let's
in 1 month.
let's stop just a bit basically.
Yeah,
Just stopping your bit here, Lokesh.
sure, sure, sure.
But
Yeah.
when you saw that 640 on that mock test, what was your first thought process? Like you saw the verbal 31, you understood that your quant is better than verbal, but did you directly start searching for courses, or did you think, okay, let me do some self prep first and see how we get here? Or like how was it basically?
So from starting, I knew that I wanted a course, because self prep for a person like me, like I always have that insecurity that there might be something I don't know. So
Okay.
so that's why I wanted a course, because I wanted to do the entire modules, whatever the scope of exam that is there. So I want to finish the whole syllabus, so that I am pretty sure that there is nothing that I don't know that is coming, and it's just my preparation, not the syllabus or something that I don't know that it is hampering me. So
Okay, so
I
you did
started
not
searching right away for
you wanted to
courses.
make sure that you cover all the bases and you're well prepared. You're not just taking any chances with your GMAT attempt. Okay.
Yeah. So I started with right away by searching for courses that offer the best value. So yeah,
Okay.
I didn't do any self prep.
Okay. So yes, so you started your journey basically with the GMAT course. And how did you prepare? Like if I have to break down your preparation journey, like how did you prepare? What was the structure initially, and how did you went about doing that?
So as I said, so there was not particular structure when I started it. I did 80% verbal and 20% quant when I started. Like you have that planning aspect, right? I just selected in the GMATWhiz that I need to do 80% of my time verbal and 20% quant. And then I started with sentence correction, and I completed the whole module in 1 month. It took me 1 month. I finished the whole module. And then I took a break for like 2 months. So
Okay.
yeah. So and then I took a break for 2 months, and I had 1.5 month for my GMAT that I already booked. So I thought initially it was like 4 months, but it was cut short to 2 months. So because I took 2 months break. So and the
And
next
one more
month
thing,
I
Lokesh,
again.
you mentioned that
Yeah.
you took about a month to complete sentence correction, but the GMAT sentence correction is only about 35, 40 hours of effort. So will I be correct in saying that in this first month also you were slightly, let's say, inconsistent with your preparation, preparing for some days and not preparing for other few days? Like, was it there in the first month also, or were you consistent? How was that?
I mean, so yes, the inconsistency was definitely there, because I was, like I was doing the most of my prep on weekends, and I used to take like
Okay.
do very little on my weekdays. So that's
Okay.
where it took me a month, like 4 weekends mostly. Yeah.
Okay. So if you look back on your like that days again, now when we are speaking about it, we are able to kind of come to some important lessons right away. But if you look back on those days, don't you feel that probably some like your 640 kind of made you feel that GMAT is too little too easy, and maybe the CAT preparation also that you had in the back of your mind made you feel that GMAT is too easy and you underestimated the GMAT. Do you feel that now, or you still feel that
No,
okay, it's nothing like that?
I definitely underestimated it, because as I said, right, so my verbal was 31, but my RC and CR were quite good. Like I had only a couple of them wrong. I mean, the entire sentence correction
Okay.
got wrong. I was like, okay, if I'm done with sentence correction, I'm done with my whole prep. So so that's where like I done the sentence correction, and I took a 2 months break, and I came back, and I thought, okay, it will be done, but yeah.
Uh, okay. So yeah, we have three questions in the chat. So there is a question on time management, which I'm definitely going to take up as we slightly move forward in the session. There's a session on topic question on quant, which also I'm going to take up as we move to quant. But there's a question on SC, which you're talking about. So let me put it up for you. So Soham is asking, what can be the best course or guide to cover all the lessons of SC according to you?
So there are two approaches I see generally people take, like I also studied with study groups and all, like in the GMAT club, and also there are two kinds of things that people approach SC. So I use the GMATWhiz method, but mostly like there is grammar. I mean, there is, no matter how much we learn grammar, it can't be exhaustive. Like there is so much to learn, and there are so many exceptions and so many things. So the best guide I would say is like just approaching the sentence in a way that what is the intended meaning and what is the actual literal meaning. If you are like if you are able to figure it out, like what is the intended meaning and what is the literal meaning, what is the actual meaning, like using our human sensibilities we can able to figure like what is the intended meaning, and keeping our human sensibilities away, like if we can see like what is the literally that sentence is saying. For example, like the in ing verbal modifiers, you know, like there is not there, it has to be subject agreement as well. Like if I say
the doer of the action basically should be matching with
yes,
the like modifier
yes,
as well. Yeah.
yes. But when you read it, the intended meaning will be pretty clear to you. And that was my mistake, because when you see the intended meaning, you generally think that it's true, it's correct. But you need to understand, like you need to learn enough grammar to understand the literal meaning of the sentence. That's it. Like I think GMATWhiz does pretty good job in like giving only that grammar which is necessary and tested in GMAT. But otherwise, there is also, I mean, books of Manhattan that I initially referred to. But it's all about like remembering the grammar and recollecting that grammar at that point of time is very difficult. But meaning-based approach is good. Specific guides and all, as I said, like I didn't, to be frank, I didn't use any other thing apart from GMATWhiz and verbal, like official verbal questions. That's what I did, and that's what I stuck to basically, because I knew that the approach works. It's just that my fine tuning and my preparation that is lacking. So you just need to have a structure, like meaning-based approach, the process, the approach that works. And yeah, I mean, specific guides.
So what you're saying is basically when you are reading a sentence, you should think about the meaning, what it is communicating. Obviously, as in general, when you see English, we are able to kind of understand that it should be meaning this, but you should not limit yourself to that. You should understand whether based on the structure, is it really meaning that or not? If it is not really coming that meaning, then it is incorrect. So your focus should be more on meaning, and the grammar rules obviously go hand in hand with the meaning. But you should be focusing more on the meaning aspect of the sentence, and that should help you for even in remembering the rules and applying the rules effectively.
Right? Yes, exactly. Like grammar, the aim of grammar should be convey the intended meaning rather than using particular grammar. Like the aim of grammar is itself a grammar. Like we have like this structure, it is grammatically correct, so that it should be correct. I mean, that's not the right approach, because it can be grammatically correct, but it doesn't, like it can not make sense, right?
Okay, so a related question to this, Lokesh. Many people, when I tell them that, okay, when I speak to many students and I tell them that meaning-based approaches that you have to focus on, you have to first understand the meaning of the sentence. They tell me that isn't meaning-based approach time-consuming. So what's your recommendation on that? And I'm taking up Rahul's question at this stage itself, because he's also talking about a similar thing, that how to tackle the battle between time and accuracy, basically. How do you manage that? So what's your take on that?
So initially, definitely it will take time. Initially, I was taking like 3.5 minutes or something like that to do a SC question. And I like, I mean, different approaches, different things work for different people. Like people do research and stuff. They find different ways to, tackle a question and stuff, something like that. But for me, it was like, initially it was definitely taking time, because I was doing everything consciously. Because I was stopping at the points, breaking the sentence, and then understanding it, and then going through all that process. And it definitely took time, like 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes initially. And I didn't limit myself to basically constrain myself in with respect to time initially, because I knew that it will take time. But as we progressed, as the practice happened, it kind of become unconscious that while you read it, you tend to comprehend it. That's this exact thing, like basically like it helps you in reading comprehension as well. Like it's reading comprehension, right? The time gap between your reading and comprehension. Yeah, like you read it and you comprehend it, and the time gap between that is actually your time lapse. I mean, the more you can reduce the time gap between your reading and comprehension, the more you can be faster at solving questions.
So what you're basically saying is that timing and accuracy are not two different things. If you follow the right approach and you chase the accuracy, timing is something which will automatically fall into place, because the right approach automatically helps you to solve the question in the least amount of time.
Exactly. So once initially it will be conscious, right? So you are doing everything consciously. It's just like cycling or biking, like you say in the GMATWhiz course. Like initially it's like cycling. You have to handle, like you have to put the gear, you have to put everything like bike. I mean, you have to do everything consciously. But once you do it, like it becomes subconscious. Like while you're reading it, you will comprehend it. Like you will pick up the patterns, and then on top of that, you can pick up these techniques like splits and all, like all these things. Once your approach is set, once this is solid, then you can go with the tips of reducing time, like 3 to splits or whatever it is, like all that things, like first scanning the first splits and then reading the sentence, and all these things will help only once the basement is strong, like once you are able to understand it while you read the sentence.
Very, very valid point. In fact, this is something which I keep telling to all the students. What people do is they focus more on the splits from the get-go without realizing what actually should happen at the backdrop, basically, where your base should be created. And if your base is not solid, you cannot just apply splits. You might get the easy and medium questions right, but you always struggle with the hard questions. And then please note it down, all of you who are watching this live. If you really want to use the splits approach or any other shortcut focused methods, first learn the logical method. And one more question, like this is I was about to say this, but I thought let me ask you instead of telling this directly. So Lokesh, did you have to literally put in any additional effort to identify the shortcuts, or did it start coming naturally to you once you were like aware of the logical method?
Yeah, like most of them came naturally, because you tend to pick up the patterns. Like once you do the questions and once you understand, like pick up the patterns, and you tend to like okay, this is consistently getting wrong, so I need to be careful while reading this particular sentence structure. So when I get an ing modifier, like you generally tend to go and see the subject when you are like, is it making sense? So those kind of
so you kind of develop those patterns in your mind subconsciously also, basically.
Yes, once you understand it, you'll just see, like if there is an ing modifier, you'll directly go to the verb and see if it makes sense. If it's not make sense, you'll automatically discard it. But to discard it, I need to understand it should make sense with the subject or not, right? I need that meaning approach.
Exactly. Just last week, we were having another success story interview on GMATWhiz channel with one of our students, Ashna. She has scored a 750 on the GMAT, and she was talking a lot at length about the same aspect, basically getting in the question creator's footsteps and trying to basically understand what he is trying to trick you with. So basically, when you learn this approach, what Lokesh you're trying to tell is that you kind of start thinking like the question creator, that he's actually trying to play with my mind for this particular aspect. So I have to be careful about it. So that's what starts to happen if you pick up the logical methods, basically. Great. I thought we'll not take up any more questions for SC, but just one closing question on SC, and then we'll move to the Dipesh's question and move to critical reasoning. So Shubhayan has a question. How much time did you take for solving SC questions on an average, and max versus minimum time? So he's asked 3 different timelines for you. Yeah.
Okay, on an average, I take a bit longer. I do like 1 minute 40 seconds, 1 minute 50 seconds to solve an SC question, because yes, it is time consuming. I agree that, and I, because that is one thing. I, on an average, if it is an easier question, I do it under a minute, like 40 seconds, 50 seconds, 60 seconds, depending on the difficulty. And maximum it can go to up to 3 minutes. Like after that, I just guess it and I just.
But 3 minutes is like a very rare case where you're not getting anything and you're just skipping it. But generally, like if you're solving a 700 level question, what's the time that you take in SC?
2 minutes to 2 minutes 10 seconds on a, like in a third and fourth quarter, if I have to say, like really difficult, and
when the question gets really tough, basically. And
yeah. You have to.
So how do you balance the time for CR and RC? A lot of people say that SC has to be done quickly. So how do you balance the time for CR and RC? Like, what is the time that you take generally for those areas?
So the thing is, as I said, like initially my weakness was like, I understand the intended meaning. I had a very hard time on determining what is the exact meaning of the sentence. So that's where I was struggling with SC, because I read a sentence, I understand what it's trying to say, and I think like, okay, this is also right, this is also right. It's trying to say the same thing. But that criticality part is what I was struggling with SC. But the same part actually helped me with my RC, because there though I need not read it critically, like what is it literally saying, I'm able to understand like what is the intended meaning, what's he trying to say, why is he trying to say. So my RC is a bit faster. Like I do it like I take 1.5 minutes for RC questions on an average, like 1.5 to
That's
140.
it.
So
So basically,
that's
since
where
you're
I
able
save the
to
time.
like read the passages faster, you're able to do questions faster, and there you have 4 questions for one passage. So your time taken is getting down basically from there. Okay.
Yes, 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 exactly.
Understood. Understood. Perfect. Perfect. That's really really great, Lokesh, for the part of explaining on the timing. So I have a question from Dipesh. He says, I agree with the analogy with cycling. I spent quite a lot of time on learning the logic of SC, and now I take just 40-50 seconds per question to answer it with 85% accuracy. So that's great, Dipesh. I'm really, really happy that you are also seeing the same advantage of time which Lokesh was talking about. So great to see that. Okay, guys. So anyone of you who wants to kind of understand whether you're using the method correctly or not, if you have some issues with the methodology that you're using, and to understand how you can improve your score, you can also connect with the GMATWhiz team to kind of understand how we can help you with that, and also what kind of gaps you have in your preparation by using this link. So you can use this link to schedule a call with our team to get started in the right direction for your preparation if you want to. So with that, let's move towards critical reasoning. So this was the patient's question. Again, that there is a lot of controversy. He uses the word controversy surrounding pre-thinking in CR questions. Did you practice pre-thinking while preparing or doing the actual GMAT question? So he's asking what's your take on pre-thinking in simple terms? Yeah.
So to be honest, I did not do a lot of pre-thinking. Uh,
Okay.
so so what I tried to do is like initially, where I was struggling is I'm not focusing much on conclusion. I was trying
Okay.
to focus on the overall, like what is this passage trying to say, and like taking that RC approach, like what is this passage trying to say, and what is it like which ones are strengthening or weakening. So that's where I had a very hard time for CR. So but once I understood that the conclusion is like the most important part that we need to focus more on CR. So once I identify the conclusion for sure, like this is the definite conclusion and this is this conclusion, so then I go and see the options and try to see what are the options with minimal assumptions that I can
Okay.
that will affect this particular conclusion. Because a lot of the times where we go wrong is like whenever you read a option, you tend to assume certain things with that option. Like in an option, for example, let's say most of the um, most of the exports are milk for a
Mhm.
particular country. Then in the option you
Mhm.
go and see like some of the exports, let's say what I'm trying to say, some of the exports are not milk.
Mhm. Okay.
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 So it's like, it's true, right? Like if most of them is milk, it's true that some of them is not milk. And if you see like all of them are milk, then definitely it's a wrong, because you're assumed like most is all. In the same way, there are underlying assumptions with that comes with each option that we see in CR, that like that what I try to do is like, what is the option that I can choose with a minimum number of assumptions, that if not any assumptions that I can, that will affect the conclusion in the stated way, like weakening, strengthening, or assumptions.
Okay. Okay, understood, understood. So basically, you were not relying a lot on pre-thinking, but you were kind of focusing a lot on the conclusion part and basically how the argument is structured around it so that you kind of understand the assumptions better.
Yes, exactly. And one more thing is like, people think that pre-thinking you need to do it consciously, in the sense that you need
Mhm.
to take 10-15 seconds to actually pre-think and then come up with possible 1 2 3 assumptions. Like that might work for somebody. For me, it was like, while reading it, again, as you said, like same for the SC, you tend to pick up patterns when you read a certain, like when you do a practice in certain way. So for example, a plan goal question, so I know that in the
Mhm.
option there will be an alternate plan, which is a trap, which is
Okay,
wrong. So those kind
okay,
of assumptions, like those things, by for sure that okay, there will be one option for with this one which is definitely wrong. That is your pre-thinking essentially. If you identify that particular CR as a plan goal, you know that this option is most probably is going to be there, and when you see it, you automatically discard it. So
So what is this plan
identifying
and goal
those.
that you're talking about? What is this plan goal that you're talking about? Again, Lokesh,
Okay.
you studied from GMAT. I'm from GMAT, so we understand this lingo, but probably others who are not probably don't relate to that. So what is this plan and goal that you're talking about?
Yes, definitely. So for CR again, there are like 4 frameworks that we talk about in GMATWhiz, like the cause effect, the plan goal, the quantitative, and other stuff. So these are the kind of frameworks that generally most questions fall into in CR, and
Okay.
every kind of framework will have certain kind of traps underlying in it, and that automatically I picked up from like GMATWhiz course, so that I avoided those kind of mistakes from start itself. So, but definitely, I think there is also a webinar on GMATWhiz YouTube channel that
So
people can go on, like,
that I can probably share the link of that through a session.
yeah.
But yeah, so what basically you are trying to say is that rethinking, as many people believe, and Dipesh, this is like directed towards you if this probably answers your question. Many people believe rethinking is about thinking the answer consciously, thinking the answer. But what Lokesh is trying to say that rethinking is not technically thinking the answer. It's also about understanding how the argument is structured, putting it into a certain kind of framework. Again, that is something which we try to do at GMATWhiz, and we have conducted a lot of webinars even on our channel and GMAT Club channel as well, where we talk about this frameworks. So it is important that you understand and identify which framework is applicable in which scenario. And if you are able to do that, in many cases, you would not need to even pre-think separately, because it will be covered as a part of basically the like the framework related thought process that we have developed in students. And I'm just sharing one link to our free trial course as well. So those of you who want to kind of check out some of the pre-thinking frameworks that Lokesh was talking about, you can actually click on this link and create a free trial account, and you'll get some free files on CR where you can actually learn about this methods as well overall. So I think that should also help people. I have one more question from Ashish. So Ashish is asking, what was the total months of preparation? Is it possible to get? So let's tackle the first question first, and then let's go to the second one. So what was your total month of preparation overall, Lokesh, for the 760? And again, I know it was like in bits and pieces here and there, sliced and diced, but effectively, what do you think? How long did you prepare for?
So my total preparation on and off was around 6.5 months, from November.
Sorry,
Like
how
I
much
think
did you say? It broke.
Yeah, it is 6.5 months.
6.5 months. Okay, okay.
Yeah, so but I don't think it should take that much time, because I was doing my preparation on and off. I was taking so much breaks, like gaps, like one month, 2 month, 3 month breaks in between, so that I lost the momentum and I had to pick it up from like almost like from scratch again. Yeah, I mean, all the way I have to revise everything and I have to do it, and then lost momentum and touch and everything. And it depends a lot on how you are preparing rather than how much time. Like quantifying it on basis of time, I don't think it's a right thing to do, because in 1 month or two, you can put in 8 hours into the right preparation, or 4 hours in like a day in right preparation, and you can get to 760 definitely. But the thing is, like, the timing aspect is definitely not the work, because how many takeaways that you can get from your preparation is, I think, important, what we can say, important factor in determining how fast you can get to 760, like, or whatever your target score
That's
is.
very
Like,
true, because honestly speaking, I've seen in my experience, I've worked with people who have taken 2 entire years on their GMAT preparation, and I've only gotten to a 640, 650 in those two years. So obviously they had put in the effort to get to that level. And within like the next 2-3 months, they are able to cross the 740, 750 barrier, which was not happening for 2 years. So what is important over here, Ashish, to focus on is obviously the kind of learnings that you generate. Because if you don't generate the right learnings, the time that you're investing is not the key thing. But if your question is mostly about how much time in general you require, is it really possible to get to a 760 in a month or two? It is definitely possible. And I'm pretty sure that if Lokesh had done the preparation in one go, he would probably would not have taken more than like 2.5, 3 months either to kind of get through it. There were so many breaks. I think he took about 3 or 4 breaks in between the entire journey. So there were a lot of breaks which kind of he kept losing the momentum. And in case you're looking at a story of a student who has scored this fast, I'm just sharing a link over here for all of you. Mantavya, who is one of our students, he prepared for just 2 months for his very first attempt for GMAT, was able to score a 770 in just 2 months of preparation because it was focused, one stretch preparation, and he was only devoting about 3 to 4 hours on a daily basis in this 2 months. So if you want to check out some tips from Mantavya, you can just click on this link which I've shared and go through it. But yeah, it is definitely possible, and it also depends on your intellect and your pace of learning. I would be wrong in saying that everyone can probably get to that level in 2 months' time. It does take some bit of intelligence also to get to that level. If you're not that sharp, probably you would require more hard work. You need to put in more hours. But definitely you can get there. The time depends on a person to person. And in case anyone wants to understand how much time realistically you will take, probably we can have a discussion one-on-one using this link which I shared a little while earlier. And we can help you in understanding how much time realistically you will take, because it's possible you might be there in a 1 month time also or 2 month time also. So that completely depends on your case as well. Okay, so I think we have covered CR, and I think let's move over to RC. That's the last part which is left. And I do remember a question on RC from Pranav. Yeah, so I'll take up that question. But I'll just answer one more question from Shubhai, and he's asking, did you ask for your ESR? If it is there, can you please share? So again, Shubhayan, someone who scores a 760 probably doesn't require an ESR because the idea is that
See,
not much is there to analyze.
The thing is, I took 5 attempts and I have 4 ESRs with me, and I can share with you definitely. And 5th attempt is an online attempt, and for which unfortunately we can't get any ESR.
Oh yeah. Last one was an online attempt, so how the ESR also we can't get. So Lokesh, I think you can create a GMAT Club post maybe from your account. You like just set a small post about your journey, and if you're okay with sharing your ESR, you can just attach the ESRs there. And I can ask probably someone from the GMAT Club team to attach that post link thread of the link in this description to this video. So later on, if anyone is watching this video, they can also check out the ESRs if they want to. That thing will be.
Definitely. Sure.
So one more question related to this. What was your highest official mock score? And okay, you answer the question first and then I'll add to it. Yeah.
So official mock, I had 2 770s. One before my 730 attempt and one before my 740 attempt. So yeah.
Okay. Great. And probably Lokesh did not cover it, but he also scored a verbal 45 in one of the Manhattan mocks. So like Manhattan mocks are definitely like super crazy when it comes to like hard questions, and then he was able to get to a verbal 45, which is an amazing score, to be honest. Probably if Lokesh wanted, he could have tried for a better score than 760 also. Not that it's required, but still. So that's the thing. All right, so let's move on to RC. So Pranav has a specific question. I know you have covered a bit about RC, that how you read and comprehension and all of that is important. But he is asking about did you used to take notes, and how much time did you spend on average on short, medium, or long passages? So let's focus on those aspects.
So yes, so my RC prep started with during my CAT days. So I used to be terrible at RC, and as I said, like I previously discussed, right? Like my timing was terrible because I was not actually. I mean, I'm just reading the passage, and I'm going to the questions, and I don't care if I understand it, I don't understand it. I was not caring because I used to read it one time, and I used to go to questions, and then if I feel a bit here and there, I used to come back to the passage and look for it and dabble here and there. But one thing that was important is like understanding the passage really well, like what the author is trying to say and why he has written what he has written. That is.
So how did you realize this, or when did you realize this that this is important? Because you were preparing for CAT and you were doing this all the time for a long time, and like old habits generally don't change. You just start believing in those things. So how did you realize that reading a passage in depth is very important?
I mean, when your score hurts, obviously you realize there is something wrong. But
okay.
So
that's a nice way to put it.
I mean, to be blunt, that is a blunt way to put it. But one thing, like how I realized is like actually when I'm reading the explanations of that RC questions, right? So I realized that most of the questions that I'm getting wrong are actually that I didn't understand the passage right, or I missed it because I was skimming through the passage, or I didn't even understand the option correctly. So
Okay.
everywhere the main thing that was popping up is like understanding. So
Okay.
uh, so that's where I shifted my focus. And second thing is like regarding the timing aspect again, like as I said, it your timing will cut down if you are able to cut down your time between your reading and comprehending the passage, like RC, right? So you read it and you understand it. The time gap, if you and the lag between those two things, if you can reduce it, obviously you can cut down on the time. But definitely you need that comprehension. You can't compromise on that comprehension. People generally, when trying to do the RC faster, they tend to read it faster. Like reading faster is not a is not an ideal way to go about it, because you need to comprehend faster. That is the main like main aim of going with SC, like cutting down time in SC, like reducing time. So that is one thing. And once you understand it, obviously you have the frameworks again in RC as well, like so you have certain type of, like you tend to pick up the patterns. And obviously if you have GMATWhiz, they already have the patterns for you, the options that will you generally encounter in almost all of the RC questions, like out of scope, half truths,
Distortion.
distortions. And also
Yes.
if you are able to identify those things, definitely it is easier. So RC strategy is the same thing. Like I need to understand the passage as fast as possible. Like it's not like I need to
And for
read the
that,
passage.
basically, you have to start doing SC also from a meaning perspective, because that's when you develop that comprehension skills. Is basically
Exactly. So the SC things that I learned there, like breaking down the sentence and understanding the sentence better, like and those things when applied to RC, they were like a game changer, because I was drastically able to cut down my time in RC. Like from 20 minutes per question, I was able to do it in 1 minute 30, 1 minute 40 seconds. So there I used to save time, and obviously I used to use it in SC because I was a bit weaker there. So yeah.
That's very important. You need to understand the like strong and weak areas. Many people have this like benchmarks that okay, SC should always take less time than CR and RC, but there's nothing like that. Like for me, SC was my strongest suit, so I used to solve a SC question in 1 minute 10 seconds, and for a CR question, I used to take 2 minutes 15 seconds. For many engineers, CR is natural. They're like, okay, you know what, CR is just an extension of point. For me, it was not, for some reason. Like I was not bad at it, but like I was not as great as I was in SC or RC. So it's important for you to be aware of your strengths and weaknesses. So you should not just have benchmarks just like that, and understand that it's okay to, like, what I recommend generally is that for SC, you should be on an average taking 1 minute 30 seconds. For CR, it should be 2 minutes, and for RC, it should be 1 minute 50 seconds. And then you offset this numbers by 20 seconds up or down, depending on whether it is your strength or weakness. So in case of Lokesh, he knew that SC is his weakness. So he offset it by 20 seconds up. So instead of 130 for SC, he was taking 1 minute 40, 50 seconds. But in case of RC, which was his strength, in the end, he was able to like decrease the time downwards by 20 seconds from 1 minute 50 seconds is the benchmark. So again, like you need to be very smart about those specific aspects when you're taking the test as well. So just one part of the Pranav's question that we have not answered. Did you used to take notes when you were like doing RCs? Like you're talking about comprehension and all of that, but were you really taking notes as well, or how's the process?
So I personally didn't take notes, but I think like for many people it works, like they scribble something and stuff like that. I mean, it's very personal, but generally what I used to do is I take a mental note, like how the passage is flowing. Like okay, so first sentence he talked about this, and then he moved on to countering it, and then he gave examples, and then he gave in first example how he talked about one weakness, second example other weakness. So I used to have a mental map while I was reading, and the flow of the passage while I was reading, so that after each passage after each paragraph I used to summarize. Okay, this paragraph is talking about this thing, and it's not like I'll stop and I will comprehend it. It's just like for a couple of seconds I used to summarize it in myself. Okay, this is talking about this, and this is talking about the weaknesses. And finally he suggested the conclusion is important, like what he's trying to do, like because he's evaluating, critiquing, all those things. Like he's suggesting further research, he's just discussing it. So I used to conclude it and then go for the questions.
Okay, great. So mental note taking is perfectly fine, but initially probably it's possible that if you are not able to do the mental note taking, it's okay to scribble a bit and all. But ideally, at the back of your mind, at least you should have this thought process that in the end I have to get away from note taking. I have to kind of rely more on my memory, and move forward. And still, like in the test also, if you're writing a few notes, for example, if I talk about my own attempt on GMAT, again, I did not have a stellar score as Lokesh. I just have a 740, a measly score, but still, and I was taking RCs, I was going through RCs. For each para, I used to write about 2 or 3 words in my notebook. I still remember on the day of the test also I did that. But most of it was mental notes, just 2 3 words I used to type. But yeah, don't go about filling notebooks or for the summarization, like entire sentences you're writing. You don't have that kind of time. So at least keep it at the back of your mind that you have to do mental note taking. That's important. So very well said, Lokesh, around that. So again, in the entire discussion, we kind of lost the track a bit, but like you had multiple attempts on GMAT. So what is your most important learning? So to the retakers who are here, who are watching the session here, what changed between that 690 to the 730 and then 730 to that 760? Again, there were 2 more attempts between that, but those were like, since I know your background, I know how those attempts went. So those were like very quick iterations of one of these other attempts, and there were like major shifts in your like change in your thought process between 690, 730, and 760. So what were those major shifts? What are the things that others who are in the same boat should keep in mind to avoid those things?
So my first attempt, it was a severe underestimation and brute force. Like
Okay.
I was doing questions, and I was thinking that I was getting better because I was just doing, like, as I said, like I just did SC first. I finished the module. I took a 2 months break. I came back and I revised SC, and I started with CR and RC, and I was just like, okay, I was just doing questions and taking mocks, and that's it. Like nothing. Like I was not trying to put in so much effort that what it's trying to say, why we are doing these things. Like I was just like, okay, I'm doing this one. I take the learning. Okay, ing modifier after comma will modify the verb. I mean, those kind of learnings that I was taking, but not just, it was just brute force, as I said. Like it was not actually structured, if you say.
Focusing so much so on the methods or the structure, basically. You're trying to learn the concepts and then practicing questions, basically.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a brute force method. I was like solving as many questions as possible so that I thought that I'll be familiarized with all the models if I do all the questions, and on the exam day I'll get the same models there. So that was a mistake. And from after that, I realized I need to change my approach, because even with the 690, I used to skip so many methods. Like I used to skip the steps in the GMATWhiz methodology. I thought it was time consuming, as people say. Like it is, like people think that it's time consuming and they skip steps, and then they hurt and they will come back to the same thing. So it same happened with me as well. Like I'm not an exception. So I skipped the steps. It hurt me, and I came back and stuck with the basics, like understanding and stuff, and perfected my approach like in the 730 attempt, to be frank. Like I took a break 2 months after 690, and then focused more on approach, focused more on meaning, focused more on the patterns that I could pick, focus more on takeaways and official questions and all those things. So it was more structured and more approach based rather than just brute force, like doing as many questions as possible. That got me to 730.
So basically, whatever all you talked about, like all the methods for SC, CR, and RC, is something you started focusing on before the 730 attempt. And earlier, it was more of a brute force, basically brute force attempt, where you put in the effort, definitely, like with all the hard work and everything, but you are not able to get the desired outcome, probably because you're again getting stuck with the harder questions. Like you're not able to get across the hard questions on GMAT.
Okay. Yes, exactly. So because with that little shortcuts, you can get by the medium level questions, but once you get to the hard questions, you really struggle if your approach is not right, and all those things. Like there, the meaning based approach and all these things come handy. You can't escape that. So that's where I got hurt.
And so that's a very, very important point for all of you to note. So don't just think that at GMATWhiz we do some magic. Like if you just take our course and just complete our course, you're gonna get that 760. It's definitely not the case. It is very, very critical that you learn the methods, focus on learning the methods, and do it properly. And obviously, like initially you will have biases. Like everyone thinks that okay, this process is taking time, and that's one of the reasons. Like we have, like when we were building the course, we were thinking, Lokesh, that should we teach shortcuts or not? Because many times people don't have that much patience. They want faster methods from the get-go. But we felt that okay, these faster methods don't really work for students in the long run, so we stuck to the methods that are logical but that give you across the line in the long run. So it's very important that even if you're having those thoughts, having those doubts that okay, this is this method not time consuming, is this method going to work, keep it on the way, focus, give that trust to the course that you're working with, follow the methods, and you'll see the outcome. Basically, that's something which worked out for Lokesh. So Lokesh, what changed from the 730 to the 760? I know there are many people who are watching this, maybe passively, not asking any questions right now, but there are definitely some people who have a 700 plus also, and they require that magical number of 760. So what does that finally propel you to that 760 number?
So with my 690 and 730, I was doing things, but 730 and 760, as you know, it's very it's all about fine tuning your approach and getting those final touches in your preparation and all those things. So what happened is, like, I started working with Shakib, my mentor. So I started contacting him and connecting with him more often, and he actually helped me understand where my gaps are. Like, definitely, like, if you are able to do some questions, do the mocks and all those things, you'll know that your weak points are this and that. But everyone has blind spots. Like, I had my blind spots in CR and RC, that I thought I was good at it, but I know, like, there are particular kind of questions that I was definitely getting wrong consistently. So those kind of blind spots he identified and let me know that okay, these are the areas that you need to work on. Like, do these kind of questions from here. Like, one good thing about GMATWhiz is, like, they don't stick to their, like, you should read only GMATWhiz material. It's not like that. So I exhausted my GMATWhiz mocks. I only left with one official mock, and he suggested me to take Manhattan mocks for verbal, and he suggested me to take GMAT Club mocks for quant. It's like and also he also analyzed those mocks for me. Like, he went there and he was like, okay, this is a difficult question, what was your thought process? Like, you got it wrong, what was your thought process? You got it right in too little time, what was your thought process? So he actually got into my mind and worked through all those things and helped me. Like, it's all about if you are able to do it by yourself, like, identify your blind spots and work on yourself and fine tune your preparation, that's definitely awesome. But if you have someone who has done it, for years and seen students go through all the same things, because everyone thinks that their situation is unique, but most probably those kind of problems are already faced by students before as well. So working with someone who has seen a lot of people and taking inputs from them will definitely help.
And definitely, like, when you are actually in the driver's seat yourself, there are blind spots which are supposed to be there, because you're looking at things from a specific perspective, a single point of view. And definitely, even if you do the best analysis out there, I understand that you are a student, so you're doing your best still, but it's also about another person's opinion who can actually look at it from an unbiased perspective and give you some additional input which probably you're lacking. Because I'm pretty sure that Lokesh, being from an engineering background, and knowing your background about marketing and all that you have done, you are a very data-oriented person. So you would have definitely looked at a lot of data yourself as well. But still, when that additional person comes into picture, they provide you a different perspective of things, the things that you missed, basically. So
yes, exactly.
Very valid input. Okay, so let's move on to quant. Like we have been discussing all about verbal, and that happens when we interview non-native speakers. So that our biggest problem is verbal at the end of the day. But interestingly, Lokesh, like initially in the first attempt 690, what was the quant score? I think 50, right?
Yeah, my quant score was 50.
Yeah, and Lokesh's first attempt score was a 50 in quant. Then the quant went down, the verbal went all the way up to 40 plus. And he had to kind of start working on quant all the way again to get his quant to a 51. So finally he scored a 51 on the quant section. So he definitely has a lot to talk about. Gabby's question was asking, what would you consider the wrong way to study versus the right way to study? I've put in the time, but not sure my study strategy is effective. Basically, again, you can talk about your own strategy. I think that will answer Gabby's question as well. Basically.
So yes, I mean, most of my foundations for quant was laid with my JEE and CAT preparations, but but yeah, I mean, definitely having that foundation is definitely important. I think most of the engineers who are watching, I think they already have the uh, fundamentals or whatever we call it, like the basics, whatever we need, because it's, I mean, necessarily it's 10th level or 11th level maths. So so that is very important. And then once you get that foundation done, it's all about uh, practicing in a way that you pick up the patterns in the GMAT. That was definitely like, as I said, like it's the same thing again for, I mean, I feel like broken record repeating the same thing, you know, like it's about picking the patterns, like what are the kind of questions that you get in this kind of this subject. And I think GMATWhiz course has kind of covered all the models that we get in each topic, so that I need not look for outside sources like, okay, this also can come, this formula also I need to remember. There is nothing like that. So whatever the essential basic formulas that we need, that are there, and whatever the shortcuts that we need, that are there, and whatever the models that we need to cover, that are also there. And only thing is, quant being my strong suit, I actually neglected it, you can say, for my 730 attempt, and it was kind of hurt. Like I heard that hurt my score, because, and that was a learning for me, that don't take any section or any particular topic for granted, even if you're good at it. Like keep in touch, keep practicing, and you know, like that is one very important thing, because my quant went down from 50 all the way to 49. And even with a re-attempt, like I thought like it's just a bad day for 49, because I was scoring 15 mocks as well. So I took the you know, the test again in 20 days, but still it was at 49. Yeah, within 20 days I took it, but again it was 49. Then I realized that it's not actually a bad day, it's a bad preparation. So I had to revisit the quant again, do it from basics. And yeah, even there as well, I think I first reached out to Shakib on my quant only, because I was getting questions wrong, and one of my mocks in GMAT clubs, it went to 44, and I panicked, and I reached out to him. From there, actually, he started giving me insights. So he actually suggested me that I was doing a basic mistake, that I was actually falling for the traps that you shouldn't fall to. Like that, these are the common traps that GMAT set, and I have a webinar for this, specifically focusing on common mistakes or common traps that GMAT set. So just watch it. So I watched it, and I was like, okay, these are all the mistakes that I'm doing. So that actually made me realize that I need to work on my pattern picking up. Like, I mean, I need to work on the models that are actually GMAT specific. And yeah, I mean, if you do enough preparation, you tend to know that there are particular kind of questions that GMAT will always throw, particular kind of traps that will GMAT test. I mean, whoever the question maker will always set for you. So once you have that in place, once you know these are the traps that you will have in your question, you will be mindful of it. If you, even if you're not mindful, sometimes you will get away with it because your concept is good, you got the answer and stuff, but sometimes you might miss it unconsciously. Because so knowing consciously that these are the kind of traps that you are going to encounter will actually keep your what do you say, you keep your heads up. I mean, you are actually actively looking for those traps so that you don't fall for them.
Great, great, Lokesh. So, like you've talked a lot about different aspects of quant, verbal, everything. So let's summarize our discussion. Let's call it let's bring a conclusion to it. As we mentioned in the title of this session, the do's and don'ts to score a 760. So I know you have covered all of it, probably in this last hour or so. But yeah, just to summarize, what are the top 3 do's that you believe should be required for a 760 on GMAT?
So yes, the first one is be consistent with your preparation. Don't take breaks that I did, that you know, like I took, like being consistent in the sense that you don't take long breaks like a month or two. If you miss a day or two, it's fine, but be consistent with your preparation. And second do is like picking up patterns and identifying what the test is actually testing you, because it's all about understanding the, like, getting into the mind of question maker, as you said, like, previously. So understanding the patterns, understanding the structures, frameworks, understanding the traps, common traps that GMAT set for you, that will make your life much easier, in the sense that you don't need to worry about those common traps and all these things once you are aware of them. So start picking them up and try to look for those patterns in your preparation. Like, even if your mistakes, even if you're like, identify patterns and work on patterns, rather than specific kind of, okay, this idiom is this thing. Obviously, like, idioms are I mean, as GMAT was put it, you just get it or you don't get it, because there was always other errors in the sentence that you can look for. But picking up on patterns is important, rather than remembering things, specific things in a specific question. If this question comes this way, I should answer this way, rather than that, this is the pattern that I see in the questions, and this is what I can apply in the other questions as well. So that is a second one. And one more thing, what we can say is, like, if possible, have someone to have that third perspective in your preparation, so that they can identify your blind spot. If you can afford, and if you are willing to, just I think GMATWhiz has a great mentorship program. Like, one thing that if I should say that I got the most value out of in the GMATWhiz, it's all about, it's about the mentorship. Like, the Shakib, the insights that he gave and all those things that he did for me, like, he went through my mocks, and he literally went to every single question and identified how I was doing. Like, I don't think many private tutoring people will also do this thing, I'm not sure. I mean, so that was one great thing. So if possible, have someone who has seen those things repeatedly, who have a, like, who can guide you in the right way. And don'ts, again, like, whatever I did, like, being inconsistent, it's just opposite to what they do is, don't be inconsistent. And
I was
and the
about to say
second thing
that,
is,
like, we can actually say the don'ts by just negating all the do's. So,
yeah, exactly. I mean, another one is like brute force method, doing more, like, thinking that more number of questions equal to more practice, and more time you spend is equivalent to more score, is not necessarily good assumption. Because the time, you should not quantify your preparation in terms of time or the number of questions, rather than the number of takeaways that you get, that you can apply in other parts of your preparation, other parts of other questions. So quantify your preparation in terms of how many takeaways that you can get from a certain question, that can be applied across the preparation or questions. So that is one thing. So just don't go brute force, identify the patterns. I mean, again, negating the do's, like, don't go brute force. And one more don't is actually about the D-Day. So don't panic on the day, because I did the same mistake twice in my attempts. Like, when I got an RC in my first quarter, which was like 5 paragraphs, I panicked.
okay.
I I didn't see a 5 paragraph RC in entire preparation, and I got panicked. Like, when you see something unexpected in your preparation, like unexpected in your actual D-Day exam, don't panic, because if it is unexpected for you, most probably it is unexpected for everyone else. If it is hard for you, if you are done enough preparation, like, just trust your preparation, that if it is hard for you, if it is hard for everybody. As you said, like, because I got a verbal 40 with 10 questions wrong, and I got a verbal 40 with 6 questions wrong as well. So it's not actually about your accuracy, if you're defining it in terms of accuracy as well, because obviously accuracy was less, because it's all about the difficulty level of questions that you're getting wrong. So don't panic, trust your preparation, so that you will not be anxious on the D-Day, and just be your best self. Like, you'll be on your best self on your D-Day if you don't panic.
These are really, really great tips, and very sure that all of the people who have attended this session today have a lot to learn, lot to take care of, and move forward with. So thank you so much, Lokesh, for talking about your entire journey, and it has been inspirational. And do take out time. Like I know you are still working on the applications, and you will have a busy time for the next 1 month approximately. So do take out time whenever your application work is done, and do share your journey on GMAT Club forum with all the ESRs, and that way more people will be able to benefit from it. And in case any of you wants to connect with us to understand how the GMATWhiz team can help you with your preparation, this is the go-to link to schedule a discussion with our team. Or you can also send us a email to support@gmatwiz.com. They're always happy to help, and we will definitely love to interview you really soon. Like who knows, like you could be the next person who are interviewing. So all the best from my side. We'll bring in more and more such success stories for you, such amazing stories like Lokesh, and all the best, Lokesh, for all the applications that you're doing. And I would definitely love to interview once after your applications are done and you're selected to a top rank B school to talk about your experience of the application process as well. So thank you so much for taking out all the time today and discussing it with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Piyush. Thanks, everyone.